Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to remind you each and every day, it expands our base. D-Day plus 80 years. It is hard to believe that 80 years have passed since the world joined forces in defeating Germany, in defeating Nazism, in defeating hate and bigotry. We joined together to form something called the United Nations, a phrase coined and used by Winston Churchill and Franklin Roosevelt. And it is a phrase which rings true today. We should be, and we are, as a world, united against tyranny. Perhaps the greatest example was felt this morning on the beaches of Normandy, when President Joe Biden and other Western leaders stood together to commemorate, along with the few surviving veterans of D-Day, what happened on that day 80 years ago. I did what I always do on D-Day. I watched again, and you can get it on YouTube, the CBS special with Walter Cronkite and Dwight Eisenhower, D-Day plus 20 years. If you've never seen it, watch it now. It is important to remember what we fought for on the beaches of Normandy and beyond. This comes to mind because of what is happening now in Ukraine and the statements by Vladimir Putin threatening Germany, threatening the world with the possibility of using nuclear weapons. It is a sad and tragic moment. Russia was not invited to participate in the D-Day celebrations because the world is expressing its displeasure over what is being done by Russia in Ukraine. And you understand, and I understand, that what Putin is threatening, well, would be horrific. Have we learned nothing in 80 years? Or are we still subject to the whims of dictators? And Vladimir Putin is a dictator. Is there anything we, as a world, can do to protect the people of Ukraine? And the answer is, it appears not. We send weapons, and Joe Biden, in an act of great courage, said, you can use American weapons on a limited basis when you hit inside of Russia. But Russia's response is, if you do that, we'll go after Germany. We sit on the brink of a disaster, of a horrific moment in American history and world history. We are at a decisive moment, and the campaign of 2024 is demonstrative of that fact. Republicans in the House of Representatives held up the aid bill to Ukraine. Finally, it passed, but some would say 6 months too late. We now see an escalation of rhetoric between Putin and the West. We now see the threat that Russia may go after nuclear facilities in Russia. We now face a situation that is incomprehensible, and all it would take would be one mistake for a conflagration to take place which the world would no doubt regret. I have chosen this topic today because we do not focus these days on foreign policy as a subject of the American presidential election. And yet we know that if Donald Trump is elected president, he would withdraw from NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. He said it on numerous occasions. And we know that our European allies, they are worried about a Donald Trump presidency. Where are the Republicans? Joe Biden said something today about praying that isolationism would not triumph. This is not the first time that the Republican Party has gone through a battle between isolationism and interventionism. That was the Republican Party of 1940 and 1941, when a great debate raged. Did we have a responsibility in the world? And the answer, given in those days clearly by the Republican nominee for president in 1940, Wendell Willkie, was clear. We are one world. That is what Willkie wrote in his magnificent book, which was, frankly, the inspiration of my childhood. Wendell Willkie's One World prevented the Republicans from remaining on the course of isolationism. Will Republicans stand up now to Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump is advocating isolationism. For Vladimir Putin, the greatest gift would be the election of Donald Trump, who says that he would solve the Ukrainian situation in one day, basically giving Putin whatever he wants. For all of us, this will be a fateful election. And as we go around the political world, let us remember that the choices we make as a nation affect the world. That was the message of D-Day. A United States of America was able to lead the world 80 years ago today in defeating the forces of evil in the world. Will we maintain that posture? That is on the ballot in 2024. And my hope, my belief, is that the American people will rise to the occasion. That when we talk, when we stand, it will be four square for American involvement in the world, and the denial of the Russians to aggression. We must stand with Ukraine. We must remember the lesson of 80 years ago. All of us must remember. D-Day was not only that day 80 years ago. D-Day will be November 5th, Decision Day. Which way will we go? It's an important question. Don't you think? Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand. I want to point out that you can interact with me on Facebook and LinkedIn. Special thanks and appreciation to the wonderful producer of this podcast, Gogo Zoger. She makes sure that Around the Political World with John Rothman is posted each and every day. See you tomorrow.